Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahia, not Allah. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten Son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshua, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So got to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rikah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of great millstone who well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all Israel, already accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing the truth and believing in truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the whole elect. And shalom to the Art who are listening learning, you few sisters who are listening learning. I'm Isaiah from GMS Solano Camp coming at you another lesson of truth, facts, faith, and edification, another day of edification, Lord willing to be edifying. So I titled this lesson, Condition to Not Use Cash and Food Ration. And I got this clip, I got actually a couple of clips I'm gonna play. But Yahweh Shema Shah is conditioning the hopeful elect to detach from trusting in your government. Yahweh Shema Shah is conditioning us to detach from this world, from the system. But the 2/3 is going to continue to follow the system, the government, thinking that they can trust the government. So I got this one clip from this channel, and they're going into how all these countries are is getting rid of the dollar, man, getting rid of their debt through the petrodollar. And this is all conditioned because these countries, whatever country you live in, however the systems transform, the people change with the system. You don't have no choice because you work, right? You work for the systems. That's how you make your money. So if they change over the currency, what you gonna do? You got to change with the system. So all this is conditioning our minds to transform with the system, man. But guess who's doing it? It's Yahweh Shema Shah that's doing it, man. And it's tricky because if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know nothing, if you don't understand prophecies, you'll just follow the wave, man. You're just gonna go, you're gonna follow the crowd, as our people have always done, man, because we have been conditioned to follow the system, to trust in the government. And if your government just up and change, you changing with it. Well, they ain't just gonna change nothing all of a sudden. They do it through gradualism. So I want to show this and show you how this is what's going on, man. So let me read this first. This is copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. It's a allowance is made for fair use, Salakia. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. These devils, well, Yahweh Shema Bashar is conditioning people to follow the government, man, to trust in the government. So let me get this clip. But he's conditioning the hopeful elect to detach from the system, man. Let me turn this volume down. This is beautiful because this is where we at, man. That's where we at. Because what follows when the dollar is devalued? The MOTB, man. So check this out.
Welcome to Channel Dpin Moments. Today's topic, 71 countries de-dollarize at the same time. Saudi Arabia sells 35%. Israel sells 20%. Japan dumped 12%. Recently, the latest report released by the U.S. Economic Consultative Bureau on October 25 EST showed that the U.S. Consumer Confidence Index recorded 102.5 in October, the lowest reading since August, significantly less than the market's expectations of 105.9, and down 5.3 percentage points from 107.8 in the previous month. Not only that, the Consumer Current Situation Index also fell sharply to 138.9 from 150.2 in September, and the index measuring consumer expectations for the next 6 months also fell to 78.1 from 79.5. Data on the U.S. manufacturing sector was also sluggish, with the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index registering -10 in October, a new low since May 2020. In addition, the U.S. economy grew negatively for 2 consecutive months in the first and second quarters of this year, and shows no signs of turning around. It's safe to say that the dollar has lost its hegemony. A series of practices in the U.S. economy and monetary moves by the Federal Reserve are putting the U.S. economy and the dollar on a path of no return. Since World War II, the dollar has dominated the global economy. In particular, in 1974, Nixon struck a deal with the Saudi-led OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. As a result,
Were you recently injured in a car accident? Look at this check for $160,000. If you're
the result, the petrodollar emerged, and since then, the dollar has been the undisputed reserve currency of the world. Agreements with Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Middle East have strengthened global oil trade in dollars. While the euro became a strong competitor in the 1990s, dollar-based finance continued to flourish. Even U.S. Treasuries became foreign exchange reserves for central banks around the world, and it is fair to say that the dollar, at this time, had a great deal of scenery. Behind the scenery, however, there was a brewing path of decline for the dollar. For example, Latin America tried to get rid of the dollar in the 1990s. Chile de-dollarized in the 1980s to avoid using the dollar. Iraq tried to sell its oil in euros early in the century, and Libya lobbied aggressively for years to return to the gold standard. Although all of these attempts faced the dollar's second attack at one point, the fire of de-dollarization has not been extinguished. Today, the dollar's former status is declining. For example, Saudi Arabia is initiating a de-dollarization that is directly advancing the dollar's daylight. Saudi Arabia is the world's largest exporter of crude oil, accounting for 17.2% of global exports. In the past, it was the largest supplier of crude oil to the United States.
You
And because
see, and Saudi Arabia has been America's cash cow, man. And the scriptures say in Isaiah 13 that Arabia shall neither pitch their tent there. Talking about in America. And this is happening now, man. Because now Saudi Arabia is doing deals with China and Russia. This is a problem, man. But this is how it happens. We watching it unfold. That's why when the scripture talks about though it tarry, wait for it, it shall surely come. It will not tarry. Hey, the prophecy is not tarrying, man. We watching them play out every day in the news, man. This is how it happens. It happens, what is that, 2nd Ezra 4 and 37? Through measurements, man. But these North America is being deteriorated, man, from the inside out. The same way how the Lord did Antiochus Epiphanes and did Herod, man. Okay? The North America is being deteriorated, man. What is that? Job 24 and verse 24. When it said they shall be taken out of the way as all other, man. Every other kingdom before Babylon the Great, before the Roman Empire, they all fell, man. And they all had money, right? Every kingdom had a monetary system. Every kingdom had an economy, right?
Saudi Arabia dominates OPEC, it has, in turn, allowed the U.S. to indirectly influence global oil prices in dollar terms. In the 1990s, The U.S. imported about 2 million barrels of crude oil per day. By 2021, that figure drops to 500,000 barrels per day, a
Hey, just like
75.
dealing with this guy, Kanye, right? And all these other guys. Uh, what's this guy name? Kendrick Lamar, right? He stepped on the scene, one of the hottest rappers. Now you learn about the Hebrew Israelites. You learn that you're an Israelite. Now you want to throw a little bit of that in your music. Esau say no, man. Then what? That nigga come back and a straight demon, making this crown with the diamonds in it. Hey, this devil controls speech, man. That's why they conditioning us to transform with the government, man, with the system. Whatever they do, and it's been going on, is called being conditioned through gradualism, man. So we went from the big phone to the small phone. Now we got these iPhones and Samsungs and all these high-tech phones. You don't need cash no more. You could just swipe your phone. You got PayPal, Apple Pay, Cash App, right? This is conditioning. Hey, and Jake love the government. They love the system. They love getting, and what the scripture say, use the word but not abusing it. Well, when you trust in your government, Jake done used it so long, now they're abusing the system. And this is what Esau want, man, because you're going to change with the system. But this is the Lord conditioning the hopeful elect to detach, man.
Percent decrease. However, due to the high cost of extracting shale oil in the U.S., most U.S. shale oil companies have achieved capacity with huge debt. As a result, the U.S. is still dependent on Saudi Arabia for crude oil supplies overall, and especially so for replenishing war oil reserves. Thus, when Saudi Arabia stopped following U.S. requirements for crude oil production capacity, it triggered what the dollar called discomfort. Just earlier this month, when the Saudi-led OPEC Plus announced a 2 million barrel per day reduction in production capacity starting in November, especially after the Saudis did not meet the U.S. request not to cut production, it sparked a continuing sparring match between the U.S. and
See?
Saudi Arabia. The U.S. is even speeding up the agenda of the anti-OPEC bill, NOPEC. If the bill is eventually passed, it would mean that the Saudi-led pricing power in the OPEC market would be weakened, and eventually the price of U.S. crude oil imports would probably become entirely U.S. dictated. Simply put, the U.S. can pay as much as it wants for Middle East oil. As a result, the Saudis are extremely uncomfortable with this, announcing that if they do, they will trade oil in non-dollar currencies or
You see? This is going to be a problem, man. Hold on. She said what?
oil in non-dollar currencies or scrap the petrodollar agreement.
You see?
And if Saudi Arabia starts to use this method to de-dollarize, its influence will spread to all corners of the globe. First, the 13 OPEC members, Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Angola, Congo,
And I was just
Equatorial
thinking about looking at the big picture, right? If everybody go to digital, dealing with, let's just say they dealing with trying to get around the dollar, right? Trading digital, right? Well, what does that mean for the small people? That means you got to change too, right? With your government, with your system. So this was going on, man. They are conditioning the world to change to digital. And this is leading to the MOTB. As the apostles been saying since they've been teaching, man. But niggas still, it's June. Ain't no ain't no MOTB. You got niggas want to scoff and play to them. I got the chip. Where they at now, man? This is them. If this happened on the big scale with dealing with oil, what's gonna happen to the low level? That means everybody got to change because you stay in that country, in that city, that government. You got to conform to the government, man. You got to comply.
Guinea, Gabon, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, the United Arab Emirates, Venezuela to go to the dollar is a waterfall. And several oil countries have already started to
Hey, the Lord is cold. Hey, the Lord is tactical, man. Hey, what Denzel say? I'm surgical with this, Jake. The Lord is cold, man. And you either going to conform or you ain't, man. Ain't no in between.
try different methods of de-dollarization. Second, the 10 OPEC plus countries, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Russia, Mexico, Malaysia, South Sudan, Sudan, and Oman, are also logical to go to the dollar. Third, based on the fact that oil is still the global king of commodities, it seems that no one in the world, except the United States, wants to trade with the dollar anymore, which prevents the dollar from charging a toll. This is a success and a failure for the dollar, which is also oil. And once the dollar no longer acts as a global commodity trading currency, the U.S. economy over the past half-century, the global easy access to valuable wealth will also be completely ended. In fact, Russia, which is comparable to Saudi Arabia in terms of oil production capacity, has proposed a new reserve currency based on the BRICS currency basket to reduce
See,
its dependence on the US dollar and a joint
they
payment
ain't gonna need
network
US
to
no more,
replace the
man.
US-led SWIFT financial information system. Notably, following Iran's application to want to join BRICS, Saudi Arabia has also indicated this month that it wants to join. In response, the U.S. website Dr. Silver says the dollar is crashing. If that happens, analysts say, such a combination would account for more than a third of global GDP, more than
It's beautiful,
25%
man.
of global oil production, about 40% of global steel production, and about half of world agricultural production. At the same time, the relevant member countries with their own reserve currencies could seriously impact the US dollar. It is worth noting that Russia has already created a partially dollar-free trading environment in its exports to China, India, and Turkey. As of today, China's cross-border interbank payment system CIPS has 76 direct participants and 1,271 indirect participants, including 970 in Asia, 185 in Europe, 47 in Africa, 29 in North America, 23 in Oceania, and 17 in South America. Meanwhile, China's crude oil RMB futures have achieved the top 3 global crude oil futures trading volumes since international trading began in 2018, with a global oil market share of over 6%. Currently, Shanghai has formed a 24-hour continuous trading block with New York and London, and even U.S. traders continue to keep a close eye on the nightly oil yuan futures. As Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of England, said, emerging economies have a major role to play in the global oil market. Carney said, the share of emerging economies in global activity now stands at 60%, but their share of global financial assets lags behind by about a third. Half of international trade is currently denominated in dollars, but with the shift in trade and economics, the disconnect between real and financial may be reduced, and other reserve currencies may emerge in the process. I expect these will be existing currencies, such as the renminbi. The RMB meter offers options to bypass traditional dollar events, such as crude oil RMB futures. For example, Saudi Arabia has sold about 35% of its U.S. treasuries cumulatively since 2020, and it has opened a digital currency in the form of a digital currency to bypass the U.S. dollar between trade and commerce with the UAE.
We all know what this digital currency gonna be, man.
Some analysts believe that if the United States passes the anti-OPEC bill, Saudi Arabia may empty the U.S. debt. For example, a combination of the U.S. Treasury Department, Japan's Ministry of Finance, as well as Goldman Sachs, Nomura, and many other institutions to analyze the data, Japan July-October in less than 4 months has accumulated a total of about $140.5 billion of US Treasury bonds sold. The selling ratio is already about 12%. The analysis suggests that Japan also has the possibility of clearing out US debt when necessary. And Japan has already joined the Bank of Canada, the Bank of England, the European Central Bank and the Swiss Central Bank in forming a cryptocurrency group that is trying to bypass the US dollar while de-dollarizing. To add to the dollar's surprise, Israel has sold off some of its dollar reserves this year, adding the yuan to its foreign exchange reserve basket for the first time. And in the 12 months ending in August, Israel has sold off a cumulative total of about $12.7 billion in U.S. Treasuries, a cumulative
Hey, you know what's the problem is Israel. They say Israel is selling some of theirs, man. You know it's a problem. Well, the scriptures say that the 10 horns upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Oh, what is that? Jeremiah 50? Cause who controls Israel? This is Jeremiah 50. See, this is we already know this is gonna happen, man. We just waiting and watching it playing out, man. And that's why I put on the title and food ration. Because when Apostle Hart mentioned about watching the movie Soylent Green, which I had never seen it, and when he mentioned I watched the movie, what were they doing? They was rationing the food, man. It wasn't even food. It was people food, man. This is Jeremiah 50 in verse 12. It reads, your mother shall be so confounded. Who? Great Britain, right? Your mother shall be so confounded. America was funded by who? The elites. Your mother shall be so confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Why? Because of the actions of the harlot, man. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. So here it is, Babylon the Great is going to be confounded. They say your mother shall be sore confounded, man. That's heavy, man. So if the mother, had the scripture say what, Revelation 17 and 16, the 10 horns upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So now you got Israel joining in too, man.
percentage of about 20%. Analysts say Israel is catching up with the changes in the global currency landscape, which will also become a global currency trendsetter. A well-known American figure
So
once
since
said,
Israel joined in, it's going to become a global trendsetter. Hey, this place is through,
if the
man.
United States falls, no one will be better off. Obviously, when
Ooh, that was heavy.
Japan,
Hold on.
Saudi Arabia,
Hold on. Salakia. It said, what if the United States falls? What? Hold on. If the United States falls,
the United States falls, no one will be better off. Obviously, when Japan, Saudi
oh, that's
Arabia,
heavy.
and Israel are starting
Now I gotta get it. Oh, I want to show you this too. So I was on this channel, right? This channel just popped up. Anytime something just pop up on my channel, I have to go through. And look at these.
Welcome to
Look at these
Channel Deepin
videos.
Moments. Today's topic, 71 countries de-dollarize at the
Look at this. I just scrolling through the channel, right? So it say the dollar's position is starting to take a serious hit. Japan and Europe are paying for US GDP. Russia suspends Europe grain export. The US is behind the protests in Europe. It say Egypt announces decoupling from the US dollar. Let me get some more of these. Hold on. 8 nation coalition sanctions against the United States. 8 nations. Vietnam sells US debt for 8 straight month. Systematic anti-American revolution erupts in Europe. Largest US debt sales 100 billion of US debt. Largest US debtor sells 100 billion of US debt. UN opposes US sanctions on Russia. UN Listen, man, this thing is getting hot and heavy. So when I saw this, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go on this channel. Let me see here. U.S. can't rely on Europe to save the dollar. Your mother shall be so confounded, man. You see? Hey, yeah, heavy, heavy, man. These listen, Obadiah 1 and 7, man. The Lord is not playing. Let me read this. Let me get this. Let me pull up this next clip. Hey, the prophecies is rolling, man. We just gotta stay patient, man. To tell you on Hebrews 12 and 1, the race that we're running is a patient race, man. This is not a race to the swift. And as brother Fisher Hunter put on the comment board, which I got the clip that the elder from Alabama, our put up. I'm gonna play that last because this is what we leading. This is what we at, man. This is where we at. All this is conditioning the people to take the MOTB, man. What was I finna get? Oh, Job 24 and 23. Oh, let me read this in Psalms. Because the Lord told it to us first. We told these devils, don't be proud, man. This is Psalm 75 and 4. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. Now the Lord said in James 5, if your gold and silver is cankered, what's gonna happen to the dollar? What does that mean for these fiat currency, man? This Ponzi scheme money, man. James 5 and 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your misery that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heat treasure together for the last days. So the Lord said that gold and silver is garbage. How much more for the petrodollar, right? Habakkuk. This is from the brother Fisher Turner Hunter. This is Habakkuk 2 and 6. Hey, cuz I'm finna go on this channel, man. That's heavy. These nations, and see, they don't never show none of this in the news, man. They don't show none of this going on in the news, man. On that channel, all these nations just separate from Babylon the Great, man. It's a Habakkuk 2 and 6. Should not all these take up a parable against him? Yeah, all the nations. Obadiah 1 and 7. And a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that decreaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that laden himself with thick clay, which is debt, man. And everybody's in debt because of the petrodollar, man. So it only makes sense. But don't get it twisted. This is the Lord. This is the Lord setting our people up, man, to follow the system, man. To conform and comply to the system. Especially those that got money already, man. Them that already getting the bag, they got the bag, or they getting the bag. What you gonna do when they transform the system to digital and you got 50 grand in the bank, or 10 grand, 3 grand even, $500? What you gonna do? You need your money, right? The whole Felek ain't gonna need that, man. So this is Job 24 and 23. We just, matter of fact, let me read this, man, because we just waiting, but we waiting patiently because the Lord working, man. There is nothing tarrying, man. This is Hebrews 12 and 1. Wherefore, seeing we are also compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doeth so easily beset us. What's the sin that doeth so easily beset us? The burdens of man. 2 Ezra 14, man. The Lord say, cast away the burdens of man. This is what have our mind in a slump. No, forget that, man. We ain't worrying about none of that. The Lord say he gonna come through, man. And we know that. We believe that. We standing on this. It reads, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. So we watching these prophecies play out, man. Patiently waiting, man. But it's happening. All you gotta do is watch. Man, I've been watching Al Jazeera. Man, you know what's going on around when you leave America. It's death, calamities, destruction is going on, man. When you not watching world and the American news, this thing's happening, man. The Lord be jacking up every day of the week, man. Things is happening. We so uh um boxed in on watching America's news, man. No. Leave America and watch world news and see what's going on, man. The Lord just saving this place for last, man. So in Job 24 and 23 it reads, though it be given him to be in safety, right? And you can read in Job 20, was that Job 21? It say, just to make the point, Job 21:13, they spend their days in wealth and in a moment go down to the grave, right? When you read up and say, this is Job 21:9, verse 7, wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yea, are mighty in power, their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them, right? So in Job 24 it reads, though it be given him to be in safety, right? These devils, whereon he resteth, yet his eyes are upon their ways. The Lord watching, man. It reads verse 24, they are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. Don't it tell you in Genesis 3? The Lord said what? On thy belly should I go, meaning be brought low. On thy belly should I go, and dust should I eat all the days of thy life. So it reads, verse 24, Job 24:24, they are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other. You see, they gonna fall, man. And we watching it. It say, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if it be not so, who will make me a liar and make my speech nothing worth? Who's gonna make the Lord a liar, man? So let's play this. Beautiful times, man. But this is conditioning us to change with the system, man. The Jacob go crazy without money. And the Lord got these devils conditioning us through gradualism to love money, man. It's all about chasing the bag. That's it. Don't worry about the Lord. They done moved Yahweh Shema Shah out of everything in the earth, man. And just focus on this new idol, which is chasing money, man.
We must be bluntly honest with you, because neither authorities nor the media are telling the public all they need to know. Very difficult times are approaching, and it's urgent to start buying food and storing it somewhere safe while we still can. For the majority of Americans, the window of opportunity to buy essential supplies to get ready for the economic downturn that's emerging all around us is rapidly closing. That's because the price of food is rising nearly 3 times faster than wages. And from now on, this trend will only continue to intensify. People won't be able to get prepared for the challenging times that are coming because they simply
Salakia. I didn't even know. The brother say, Fisher turn on the 4. He said Israel was the first country to roll out the green pass for the jump shot. You see, everybody following them because who was controlling that land, man? We know who's controlling that land, man. So it only makes sense.
won't be able to afford the soaring cost of food anymore. In the next few months, the rate of unemployment is expected to jump as more and more businesses suffering from declining sales, shrinking profit margins, and slower consumer demand will start laying off thousands of employees in a desperate attempt to stay afloat. Without jobs, with rising levels of debt, and facing a raging cost of living crisis, millions.
I gotta read the brother precept real quick. Salakia. This is Kazak Bunyan Howard. Hey, Shalom to all the Akim and the Awaf on the comment board. Shalom. Yabba Shema Washaba Rakathum. The water for tuning in. This is Micah 2:10. It reads, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted It shall destroy you even with a sore destruction. Hey, the apostle been telling us for years, man. This is not our rest. This place is going to be destroyed, man. And the Lord is showing it to us daily, man. Daily.
Of U.S. households won't have enough to eat, and by then,
Oh, and
it'll be too late.
the reason I put on the title, right? And food ration, because I was thinking about these food pantries, right? People, you got people going to get this food from these food pantries, man. Right? Well, in a minute, you ain't gonna be able to get that neither. You're gonna have to get scanned in to get that. And as opposed to how that movie is Soylent Green, that was people food getting rationed, man. This is what's coming, man.
To try to stockpile the supplies they need. When some economists say that the next economic recession is going to bring food scarcity and food insecurity back to levels last seen during the Great Depression, most people tend to ignore their forecasts, thinking they're paranoid and such extreme situations aren't likely to happen in the 21st century. But that's just because most people's memories are incredibly short. We don't even have to go back that far in time to see examples of how fast things can take a turn for the worse. When the health crisis broke out, 3 months were enough to bring food insecurity levels back to what was witnessed in the 1930s. From March to June, unemployment rate surged from 3.2% to 13%, leaving 1 in 6 households and 1 in 3 households with children experiencing food insecurity, the highest numbers recorded since bread lines were sweeping across America, according to USDA data. Things have improved since then, but not very much. Today, 1 in 10 U.S. families, including 1 in 8 U.S. households with children, still don't have consistent access to enough food and must rely on government programs and charities just to get by every month. The fact that over 2/3 of our population is currently living paycheck to paycheck means that most Americans are one job loss away from falling into the same unfortunate situation that these families are in right now. If anything, the pandemic showed us that our jobs are not as reliable as we think they are. One unexpected event can throw even the most powerful
Look,
corporations.
I just got a breaking news from my smart news app. It say U.S. concerned about Iranian threat to Saudi Arabia, man. Now we know it show you how crazy how the Lord is. Saudi Arabia and Iran trying to join the BRICS nations. The Lord is cold, man. It's cold.
Into disarray and result in a
Oh, and
series of
the brother Kazak Banyahauda be sending me a lot of articles, a lot of links, right? So they got these robot dogs that they can drop in with drones, man. And they got these humanoid, these robot, these what's the movie of Will Smith? These our robots, man. What you think they finna do with these weapons, man? Esau with his mass destruction. Hey, the Lord is preparing some real nasty, man. And if we are not on the right side, man, it's gonna be ugly out here. The Lord says it's gonna be a time that has never been before, man. And these devils got robot dogs that they're gonna drop in with drones, man. And they got these our robots, man. And they ready, man. The Lord is finna do something real nasty out here.
job cuts that impact both white and blue collar employees. But we have to make it clear that the economic meltdown that's now unfolding won't be unexpected, nor should come as a surprise to anyone. Oh, you've heard that story before, but probably not all of it. After injecting an unprecedented amount of freshly printed dollars into the economy during the health crisis, the Federal Reserve is now trying to fight the inflation crisis they created themselves. What all of this artificial money did was temporarily boost consumer demand as people cashed in their stimulus checks and started to spend, creating an
Let me read this. This is one article the brother sent me because up on your house. They say, meet the robot designed to one day step into dangerous situations, man. The humanoid robot is being developed by the Florida Institution for Human and Machine Cognition and Broadway Robotics. The Lord got these devils creating this, man. Let me get another one here. Just want to read a couple of these he sent me. This one say, China is going full Black Mirror, showing off a robot dog that's mounted with a machine gun and can be deployed via drone. Oh, this China. This is crazy, man. But if the Lord says it's gonna be a time that has never been before. Oh, this is the one. Let me hit this one. This say the robotic falcon designed to help prevent bird strikes. So now they got robotic birds. Airplanes and birds have been sharing the sky since the first ever flight back in 1903. So they say, however, it say collision between birds and aircraft are the cause of thousands of birds' death every year. So now they got birds. Man, this is crazy. To help prevent, they say, but a robotic peregrine falcon developed by University of Groningen in the Netherlands be the solution. This is crazy, man. This is madness. So they some more drones, man. This is another one the brother sent me. It's a system that allows users to communicate with other remotely while embodying a humanoid robot. And this is from the movie I, Robot, man. A system that allows users to communicate with others remotely while embodying a humanoid robot. Here's another one. It's a chilling AI development means that robots can now talk to animals and we might be able to next. So they creating these iRobots, man. They show us in the movies what these devils be doing.
imbalance between the amount of goods companies could produce and the amount of goods shoppers wanted to buy. And that imbalance between supply and demand pushed consumer prices to record highs. But it became clear that policymakers were way too heavy-handed with their money printing policies when inflation started to spiral out of control to the point that most Americans were struggling to afford even their most basic necessities, such as food, gasoline, and housing. In other words, their goal of boosting the economy actually busted the economy. So now, the Fed is aggressively hiking interest rates to tame inflation by creating what they call demand destruction. For those who are unfamiliar with the term, demand destruction is a phenomenon that happens when prices are so high people can't afford to keep consuming. So companies are forced to push prices down. Otherwise, they won't be able to sell enough goods to maintain their business alive. But you probably also heard that the labor market is very strong right now, right? And that's a major headache for the Fed because our labor force recovered from the extraordinary losses that occurred during the virus pandemic, and with high rates of employment, Americans are still able to consume even when that happens at a slower pace. High consumption is equal to high consumer demand. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that. But that also means that the goal behind rising interest rates is to make credit conditions tighter for businesses so they can no longer borrow money to fund their growth and hire more employees at the same rate they've been doing, nor maintain their headcounts at the same level. At the same time, U.S. companies are already coping with higher costs for transportation, for commodities, and for other operational costs, and they're also carrying higher levels of debt than they did before the health crisis came along. At this point, the vast majority of U.S. companies, big and small, are close to running out of cash, and they'll soon have to deal with the maturity of their debt. Without federal help, many of them will sink if they maintain their operations unchanged, which will consequently force them to start slashing jobs to cut costs and to avoid going bankrupt. Simply put, the way our leaders are trying to control inflation is by squeezing businesses and letting unemployment rates go up so that people stop consuming so much. They are creating the next Great Depression under our noses, and most Americans are not fully aware this is going on. There is no doubt that a wave of layoffs is coming. Harder economic conditions are ahead for our workers, and even if you're your own boss, you still won't be safe.
And you know the scripture talks about uh not sinning through proud speech, right? When you look at Skid Row and all these places in San Francisco, San Diego, it's getting bad downtown Orlando when we go down there, man. It's like it's bad now. It used to be maybe 5, 6, 10 at the most. After count, you know, we go to the cars, put our stuff up, go get something to eat. It used to be maybe 10 people downtown that was home, like sitting next to these buildings, these coalition buildings or whatever. Man, it's like 30 plus down there now. Look at Skid Row, man. Hey, every last one of these people that's in the streets like that, that's sleeping in their cars, or you got a lot of. I did a lesson. It's been a year or so. You got these lawyers and these doctors that's sleeping in their cars and their RVs. Them people had houses, man. People had these homeless people. These people had a family. They had a house, a car, a nice job. And then what happened, man? The Lord is showing examples, man, of what not to do and how not to think, man. Because at any moment, the scriptures say the Lord can raise you up or he can put you down, man. He can bring you out of the dunghill or he can put you and keep you there, man. So these things is happening, man. It's a lot of homeless people in America, which is supposed to be, we were talking about this Saturday, America's supposed to be the greatest country on the planet, man. How is all these people homeless over here like this? Why do people got to go to food pantries, man? When they're supposed to be the greatest country in the world.
Politicians keep downplaying the risks of a severe recession the same way they downplayed the impact of inflation at the beginning of the pandemic. And now we have stubbornly high prices for everything, and our finances are being deeply hurt. While wages only rose 5%, food prices are rising almost 3 times as fast, increasing 13% in September. Even with jobs, we're already facing mounting difficulties to pay for our groceries. Without them, it's safe to say the situation would be a whole lot worse. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, millions of Americans suddenly found themselves without jobs after the stock market collapsed and a major financial crisis ensued. In that period, food production was high, but demand was really low because people couldn't afford to buy groceries anymore. And that resulted in crashing food prices. Food lines extended for miles and miles. Hordes of hard-working middle-class
You see? That's why I put food ration on the title, man. Soylent Green, man. Food gonna be rationed, man. And if you don't got the MOTB, you can forget it. You either got the MOTB or you trusting in your how about your mama shot. Of course, it's gonna be a lot of J that ain't gonna take the MOTB and they're gonna be destroyed because they don't got you how about your mama shot, man. What is that? Isaiah 65, starting at 13. The Lord say his servants shall eat and drink and be merry. But even those that don't take the MOTB, that didn't seek you how about Shema Shah, they're gonna weep and mourn and be sorrowful, man. Hold on. This is coming back, man.
Worse. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, millions of Americans suddenly found themselves without jobs after the stock market collapsed and a major financial crisis ensued. In that period, food production was high, but demand was really low because people couldn't afford to buy groceries anymore. And that resulted in crashing food prices. Food lines extended for miles and miles. Hordes of hard-working middle-class families simply lost everything.
Well, when I get downtown, I used to take this one street. It passes by the the city this Coliseum where the Lions play at, the soccer team for Orlando. There's a a coalition right off the corner. And when I pass by, like I usually get downtown between 5:30 and 6, they be passing out food to the homeless Jake. Man, the line be long, man. They get in the styrofoam trays with the different little compartments in it, whatever they be serving or whatever. But it be a long line, man, of Jakes. And they put that listen on that side of town, right before you get to downtown, they pushed all Jake out of that spot, man. Now they got a big ass coliseum there, the stadium for the Lions, the soccer team. That was a whole neighborhood. They tore it down. What they call it, gentrification. They tore it down and pushed all them Jakes somewhere else. But it's still Jake because it's still like a little bit of that, that little hood spot there. But them Jakes be lined up for that food, man. Just like you see on the screen right here. This is happening. Those folks, those Skid Row people, them Jakes, them heathens on Skid Row, well, they all heathens, but they ain't seeking the Lord. They are lined up daily for food, man. This is going to happen to everybody, man. Everybody, this is going to be everybody, man. If you think you're getting a good bag right now, men and women, listen, that's going to be gone, man. And if you don't believe it, just keep living and you're going to find out, man. Only difference is between 2/3 and the heathens and the hopeful elect. The hopeful elect got hope, man. The scripture said the Lord gonna feed his elect, man. But Jake needed, like it was that Romans. Let me read this. Let me read this. See, the Lord said in Matthew, let me get this verse in Matthew 16. Because see, our people need to see something. Then they'll believe it. That's not how the Lord worked, man. This is Matthew 16 and 4. It reads, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed. Meaning, ain't no sign gonna be given to you but the sign of the prophet Jonas. Meaning, the Lord got his messengers telling you what's going to happen. That's how the Lord. That's how the Lord sends signs. The Lord ain't finna come down here and say, "Yeah, these my men." If the Lord did that, everybody listen to. Everybody listen to the men that teaching the truth. That ain't how the Lord work, man. You either gonna believe what we telling you or you ain't. And because you ain't, so again it say, Matthew 16 and 4, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. So we telling you what's going down according to what we got the blueprint. Romans 15 and 4 said the scriptures were written a full time ago for our learning. But Jake need to see a sign. What a sign of Jake looking for, they ain't gonna get it. This Romans 8 and 24. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is not seen. It said, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doeth he yet hope for? So Jake need to see a sign, and then they'll believe. That's not how the Lord work, man. This is through faith, man. It's through faith. That's why I say, let me finish. But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. Right? When you go to Hebrews, this is Hebrews chapter 4. Jake need to see a sign, and you ain't gonna get no sign, man. It say this is Hebrews 4 and 2. For unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them, but the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. Because Jake, Jake, you can't just tell Jake something they believe it. I'm talking about according to the scriptures, not worldly wisdom, none of that. Because the Lord said He made the wisdom of the world foolishness. But when you tell Jake, listen, man, seek the Lord now before the evil days come, man, because it's gonna come a day on earth that has never been before. And if you ain't right with the Lord, you're gonna be destroyed, man. No, the Lord ain't come back for another 1,000 years. This nigga told us 3 years ago. This nigga said we believe everything. He said, I believe everything y'all saying about the Lord and we the Hebrew Israelites and this and that and the white man, the devil. But the Lord ain't come back for another 1,000 years. Then that nigga said he can't do what we doing because he got a good job and he making 3 grand a week. Hey, that was before COVID. I bet that nigga in the mud right now. I bet you that nigga in the slums right now. Cause Jake need to see it, man. You put a bag in front of Jake, they good. But you tell Jake, hey, listen, the bag coming, man. Let's do this first. No, Jake need to see the bag. That's what the Lord has said this, man. That's why you slow bellies out there, the Lord gonna do a number on you guys, man. This is Matthew 6 in verse 33, right? Let me read this first. Matthew 6 and 24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon, right? So this is verse, and this is called the burdens of man right here. Verse 25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what you shall put on. Is not the life more than the meat, and the body than raiment? Listen, this is the burdens of man. One about how you gonna pay your bills, how I'm gonna feed my kids. If you seek the Lord while the evil days come not, the Lord gonna take care of you, man. Verse 33 reads, but seek ye first the kingdom of Yahweh Shema Shah and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, man. Which is talking about the kingdom of heaven. But when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing on this side, the Lord is going to give you your daily benefits, man. Psalm 68 and 19. You know I love to read this. Blessed be the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah, who daily loadeth us with benefits, even the power of our salvation, Salah. Listen, man. Here's another one in Psalms 103. Psalm 103 in verse 2 it reads, blessed be Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases. So who's doing this? It ain't the so-called white man, because the scriptures say they are physicians of no value. So who's healing you? Here's another one, Psalm 116 and 12. What shall I render unto Yahweh for all his benefits towards me? Guess what you should render to the Lord? Verse 14. I will pay my vows unto the Lord now in the presence of all his people. By doing what? For the men, Romans 12. How you going to pay your vow to the Lord for all the benefit that he's given us, man? Romans 12 and 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of power, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto power, which is your reasonable service. Stand in the pain for the Lord gonna stand in the pain for you, man. This is Luke 17 and 10, it reads, so likewise ye, when ye shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say we are unprofitable servants. We have done that which is our duty to do, man. We ain't worried about the burdens of man, man. The Lord said, don't worry about what you're going to eat or put on or drink. Don't worry about it, man.
Millions of farmers suffered with the rapid decline of food prices, and many of them went bankrupt overnight. Meanwhile, others, with the help of the government, took more extreme measures.
You see, others, millions of farmers suffer with the rapid decline of food prices, and many of them went bankrupt overnight. Meanwhile, others, with the help of the government, took more extreme measures. Listen. Oh, I got to get it. In 2nd Ezra, in 16, it reads, for behold, The burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. Why is the burning wrath of this great multitude kindled over us? Because the Lord say, shake the hand at them, man. We supposed to push this gospel and piss these devils off to force their hand to move, man. This is why they're going to come down with great wrath in Revelation 12 and 12. For behold, the burning wrath. Why is it burning? Because it is truth, man. Behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered to idol. This is the ones that trust the government, and they that consent unto them that trust in the government. The word government mean mind control, controlled minds, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. So it say the guy say, meanwhile, others, with the help of the government, took more extreme measures. Listen, you trust in these devils. Hey, Jake think they're going to be able to escape by taking the MOTB, and you're gonna get it worse. You're gonna the Jake that take it is gonna be worse off than the ones that don't even take it. I ain't talking about the whole select that don't take it. I'm talking about the 2/3 of Jake that don't take the MOTB and they still gonna be destroyed anyway. They gonna get destroyed a little less, man. The Lord Cole, man. Why is Jake trusting in the government? Because we always had sellout Israelites that sold out, man. This first Maccabees 1 and 11. In those days went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Jake always made a covenant with the heathen. What you think your rappers did and your movie actors? What you think they did? They made a covenant with the heathen. They got to sign a contract. In those days went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen, man. Okay? Here it is in Isaiah 28, man. Jake is sellouts, man. It reads Isaiah 28 and 14. Because it tell you in Micah 3 and 1, oh, ye heads of Jacob, you supposed to know, man. We supposed to know. This Isaiah 28 and 14. Wherefore, hear the word of Yahweh, ye scornful men that rule this people, which is in Jerusalem. Kanye is one of those rulers, man. Over Israel, man. TD Snakes and Theflo Dollar and Geno Jennings. Okay? Pastor Bryant. Your favorite Israelite camp that ain't telling you about none of this. These are the scornful men, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death. They did in the Greek Empire. That's what I just read in First Maccabees 1, man. Jake always sold out, man. And these niggas are just court justers, man. Court justers, man. To entertain the elites. And the moment they talk trash and go against the elites, it's a problem. And like Elder Manat Zappa was playing the guy, Charles, this guy Charles, whatever his name is, them devils did that on the plantation, man. When you went against them devils, oh, I've mentioned this all the time, man. They beat us and made us go to church, man. That's how we start calling the name Jesus Christos. And if you didn't do it, they beat you in front of all the people on the plantation to put fear in them, man. They used to buck break men on the plantation, man. You don't want to follow what's going on. They're gonna beat you in front of your family, in front of the rest of the Israelites on the plantation to make everybody else feared, man, terrified. The Lord did it. The guy that picked up sticks on the Sabbath day. What did the Lord tell Moses? Bring him out and stone him before all the congregation, man. That put fear in everybody else, man. Where do you think this devil get that from? They got it from the Lord, man. So all these sellout jakes, it say, Isaiah 28 and 15, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. But it say different. Second Ezra again in 16, it tell you that everybody that did make a covenant with these devils, everybody that did sign the contract, you're gonna get beat the worst, tormented. 16 and 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. You already idle, right? Jake already love worshiping money, right? You are on Instagram and TikTok and OnlyFans and Facebook, right? You already idle. You love money. So they say what? And feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. So you already love idol worshiping, right? You love money. You love following everything about the system and the government. Well, you're going to take the MOTB. Let's play this.
Even as large swathes of our society were literally facing hunger, farmers were told to destroy millions of acres of crops to reduce the nation's food supply and elevate food prices again. But
why do you think the Lord got them doing that, man? The Lord is creating a famine, man. And we are watching it play out. We are watching the famine being brewed up, man.
that strategy not only led to making food inaccessible for our population, but also created shortages so severe they still haunt us to this very day. Government intervention in the early 1930s led to emergency livestock reductions, which saw hundreds of thousands of pigs and cattle killed. Just like then, this devastating food crisis occurred due to a series of terrible decisions made by the people that ran our country. Only this time, things could go exponentially worse. Right now, America's food supply chain is in a shambles. Despite record food prices, our farmers are struggling like never before. They're paying the highest prices they've ever paid for fertilizers, for farming equipment, for diesel, hay, animal feed, and pretty much everything that involves food production.
So, Lucky, I got to read the brother precept. Let me read this. This is Proverbs chapter 8. All the Lord wants us to do, man, is return, man, repent, man. This is Proverbs 8 and 34 from the brother Kazak Bunya Howder. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my door. And where's that? In the highways and hedges, man. Putting up lessons, watching, man, on your tower. Verse 35 reads, For whoso findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of Yahweh Shema Shah. Verse 36, But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All that hate me love death, man. And that's what we are finding out, man. We find out 2/3 of our people, they don't love the Lord, man. And as I always say, Jake is hypocrites and antichrists, man. Because when you tell them how the Lord get down, nah, not my God. Well, you got to find out the hard way, man.
They're also grappling with the worst multi-year drought in 1,200 years. They're literally seeing their cattle die from thirst and starvation, their crops being destroyed due to the scorching temperatures.
Hold on. Let me show you why the Lord got them. They done destroyed over 100 food processing plants, 30 million turkeys, 30 million chickens and turkeys. Let me show you why. This is Hosea chapter 4 and verse 1. This is what is happening. And it's supposed to happen, man. This is how the kingdom of Esau Edom falls, the queendom of Esau Edom falls, man, like every other, man. Hosea 4 and 1. Hear the word of Yahweh, ye children of Israel, for Yahweh have a controversy with the inhabitants of the land. Why? Because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. These devils ain't telling us about Yahweh Shema Shah. We in 2022. These niggas still talking about God, Jesus, and Yahweh. These devils ain't telling you that you Hebrew Israelites, which they don't supposed to. It said they suffer us not to be put in graves. The Lord said he was going to do it. It say, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, and they break out in blood, touch of blood, because of Esau Edom. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish with what, Lord? With the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken. So the Lord said, I'm gonna take your cattle, I'm gonna take your chicken and your turkeys, I'm gonna take your salmon and your trout and your flounder and your cod, your red snap. I'm gonna take it. This is the works of the Lord, man. Esau Edom has nothing to do with this, man. This is the Lord. He just using him as a tool. Pulled him out the toolbox, polished him up, and put him to work, man.
In fact, the latest data released by the American Farm Bureau Federation shows that we might lose 75% of this winter's wheat harvest, 71% of soybeans, and 70% of corn. On top of that, our supply of chickens, turkeys, and eggs has been depleted by the ongoing bird flu that's likely to intensify as temperatures cool down for winter. We can't really count on international suppliers to boost our domestic inventory of food right now.
I gotta read this. This from the brother Kazak Bunyahoda. It's fire. Put up Proverbs 20:2. It reads, the fear of a king is as the roaring of a lion. Hey, since you got put up on Isaiah 43:13 and 14. So like Isaiah 42:13 and 14. It say, Proverbs 20:2, the fear of a king is as the roaring of a lion. Whoso provoketh him to anger sinneth against his own soul. That's heavy. He put up the NLT. It say, the king's fury is like a lion's roar. To arouse his anger is to risk your life. Salakia. That's heavy. The king's fury is like a lion's roar. To rouse his anger is to risk your life, man. You want to come against the king? That's fire. That was fire. Man, that was fire. This is Isaiah 42:13. It reads, Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. That's why the world that's why everybody, that's why what it's called, uproars of the people around the world, man. That's why it's a bunch of everything going on, man. It says stealing and killing, lying, committing adultery, and blood touching blood, man. Because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of Yahweh Shema Shah in the land. Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yell, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. And go read Luke 19:27. 2/3 of our people are the Lord's enemies. Verse 14. I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. We all see what just happened to Takeoff. He got hit up 57 times. 57 times. And he was taken off. Been living a lavish life. Well, the Lord said, let me get that spirit back. You ain't using it. Everybody in Hollywood know they Hebrew Israelites. You got Tiffany Haddish, Common, Fantasia, okay, Carmelo Anthony. All these guys, everybody know, man. Everybody know, man. Okay, Kendrick Lamar won the hottest rapper when he dropped out. Everybody heard that, man. Everybody love Kodak Black. Listen, the world know about you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, man. The world know about us, man. Listen, we don't have too long, man. We don't got too long to be here, man. You see all these calamities happen? You got famine playing out. You got uproars of the people all around the world, man. You got everything going on. The MOTB is here. Israel is waking up, man. Whether they 2/3 or 1/3, the Lord is reactivating everybody to their lots. The zealots, right? Everybody's waking up to their lot, man. We don't got long here.
Now, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine means that the world has lost two important commodity producers, and countries are now scrambling to find alternative supplies. Our European allies are experiencing an energy crisis so acute that food plants are running at reduced hours or closing altogether as they attempt to conserve power for the coming winter. Many other nations like India, Pakistan, Turkey, Malaysia, and even China are banning food exports to ensure their own domestic supplies. The United Nations has been screaming and shouting that a food crisis of biblical proportions is already here and it's going to get worse in 2023. Food shortages are not a theory, they are a reality.
Let me read this. This is from humble servant Aran. Put up Colossians 2 and 20. It reads, "Wherefore, if you be dead with Hamashiach from beautiful, from the rudiments of the world," go look at the word rudiments. Why as though living in the world are ye subject to ordinances? It say, verse 21, touch not, taste not, handle not. Verse 22, which all are to perish with the using after the commandments and doctrines of men. You see, that's what we keep trying to tell you, man. You got to detach, as the brother put up earlier, Micah 2 and 10, man. They say, verse 23, which things have indeed a show of wisdom in wheel worship and humility and neglecting of the body, not in any honor to the satisfying of the flesh. You see? What is that second oh, now I gotta read this. In Galatians 4, no, James 4 and 4, the Lord say, it's because it tell you in First Corinthians 7, I think it's verse 31, at using the word, that's not abusing it, man. But James 4 and 4 reads, ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with power? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of power, man. This is 1 John 2 and 15. It reads, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of power abideth forever. So these things finna go, man. That's why we gotta detach, man. Let me read this point. 1 Corinthians 7:29, it reads, but this I say, brethren, the time is short, it remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they have none, and they that weep as though they weep not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. Hey, the wife that fight, the wife for that precept, brother. Fire.
And people need to start preparing while they still can. Industry executives are explicitly telling us that food prices will not come down anytime soon, and the convergence of all these factors is creating a perfect.
See, these guys are talking about preparing. The whole flag, we are preparing, man. We are preparing.
Storm for food inflation, both in the short
Lord
and the
willing,
long
that
term.
number.
So, if you still have a job, use this precious opportunity to stockpile food before the economy breaks down hard.
Hey, these Edomites always talking about stockpiling, man.
You don't need to start big, just start smart. Instead of buying non-essential products, buy 2 of the products you and your family consume the most. For instance, next time you're at the supermarket, get 2 cans of beans instead of 1. 1 to consume in the near term, 1 to stockpile for the longer term, and keep repeating that process every time you go grocery shopping. Choose high-calorie, high-energy products that have a long shelf life. Learn how to can food yourself. Use thrift. Look for sales of canning supplies. Buy a book or a guide that teaches you the basics about planting. Buy seeds, if you can find them. You don't even need a garden to start growing your own food. You can start with buckets on your balcony at your apartment. Create a plan. Make provisions for each member of your family because you're gonna need it. When things go south, the empty shelves we're all right now will become even emptier.
Yeah, the brother just put that up on the comment board earlier. Let me see if I can go back to it and read it. You know what? It might be too far up. Y'all brother like the comment board up. Let me just get it from here. 2nd Ezra 6:22 it reads, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, man. This is going to happen. We hearing these Edomites tell it to us, man. But it was written in the scriptures first, man.
People will be desperate. Chaos will erupt in our major cities. Panic buyers will rush to hoard everything they can find in front of them.
Of course, we already know that. Let me get this. I ain't mean for the let's go this long. But the spirit of the spirit. In Zechariah 14, right? It says this in verse 13. And it shall come to pass in that day, a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them. Hold on, what he just said.
Will become even emptier. People will be desperate. Chaos will erupt in our major cities. Panic buyers will rush to hoard everything they can find in front of them.
Hold on, one more time. Because I'm finna read it. One more time.
The empty shelves we're all seeing right now will become even emptier. People will be desperate. Chaos will erupt in our major cities. Panic buyers will rush to hoard everything they can find in front of them.
This is Zechariah 14 and 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay hold everyone on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. This is Isaiah chapter 9. You're looking for that food, man. Isaiah 9, it reads, verse 19. It reads, no, Isaiah 9 and, hold on, 18. For wickedness burneth as the fire. Yeah, for wickedness, it say verse Isaiah 9 and 18, for wickedness burneth as the fire. It shall devour the browse and thorns, which the browse and thorns talking about 2/3, and shall kindle in the thickets of the forest, and they shall mount up like the lifting up of smoke. Them intercontinental ballistic missiles, man. It say verse 19, through the wrath of Yahweh of hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire. No man shall spare his brother, and he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm, man. It's gonna be chaos out here, man.
On the other hand, jobless Americans won't be able to buy what they need, and many will resort to shoplifting and stealing. So make sure you store your supplies in a safe place, because the truth is you never know what crazy things people can do when they're hungry and see their children starving. During the Great Depression, there was actually a surplus of food, and supply destruction was what provoked food shortages. Today, there is no surplus. Food supplies are extremely tight. Several determinants are aligning to cause the most catastrophic food shortages our generation has ever seen. And those who are thinking that the government is going to help us during this downturn are going to be shocked when they find out that it won't.
Exactly.
If the
That's what
government
I'm trying to tell you, man. The government is not going to help you, man. It's gonna. They just read in Zechariah 14. It's gonna be a tumult out here, man.
issues more stimulus checks, then inflation won't go away and high prices will persist. They're actually willing to let people lose their jobs. They're willing to let people go bankrupt, to fall into poverty and face starvation to somehow solve the mess they made. They're not being honest with us when they say they've got us covered. You know, we've got to handle things on our own. So we must start getting prepared and stocking up on food now. In a couple of months, food prices will double or triple, and you may not be able to start stockpiling then. Especially considering that 73% of Americans are already concerned with the rise of grocery prices and saying that their incomes are not keeping pace with inflation. Many
And all this is conditioning to the MOTB, man. All of it.
more interest hikes will be needed to tame the beast that has been unleashed. Many jobs will be lost in that process, and the cost of living will continue to bite us for quite some time. If no one else dares to tell you folks the truth, we do because we must. The only way to fight the darkness is to seek the light. Knowledge and information are the only way out. So please share this message with
Man. So let me play this last clip, and I got one other precept I'm going to read. Now, this is from the elder brother from Alabama put up earlier.
Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices.
We will be under assessment, we will be under measure of computation in every aspect of our lives in the future. From what you eat, who you date, what you buy on the internet, how much energy you use, but also what are your vital signs? How well are you doing in terms of health? What kind of specific genetic quirks do you have? What's your genome telling about your health, about your mental health, about how well you are doing, how well you are aging, what kind of disease you are susceptible to?
It has a bit of an Orwellian twinge to it.
Well,
Imagine a future where illness can be treated with a small implantable device, a device that can cure you with simple electrical signals. It's not science fiction. The future is closer than you think.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
You've got this human genome project. We know what people's genomes are. Now you got to match it up to phenotype, so what's going on in their lives. And these gizmos and maybe this technology can help us have databases. I know that's a scary word, databases of health, which help us put it all together and figure out, what's going to happen to who, what should we do when. But of course, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the topic that I'm sure all of you are thinking right now, which is you're hearing about chips implanted in bodies. So I've got to ask you, Kevin, and then we'll flip it to the audience. Any possibility of people hacking into other people's neurological systems and causing mischief? Not that anybody has that type of mentality in our planet.
Tonight, CBS 2 News has learned prescription medications, as we know them, may soon be a thing of the past.
Replaced with tiny implantable microchips that can treat and potentially cure dozens of chronic diseases with high-tech healing.
Hold on. You see? Let me pull this up.
Taking daily prescription medication can be hard to swallow. But for millions of people who need them, pills may soon be replaced by this little microchip.
It will cure some diseases, and the chip will prevent others.
The chip is implanted in the body, where it sends little electrical currents, telling the nervous system to tell the body to heal itself.
The diseases that can be treated.
Hold on. The Lord made the body to do that itself, man. The Lord made our body to heal itself, man. When you taking the right herbs, when you eating the right type of food, we ain't perfect. Everybody don't got money to eat healthy. But when you ain't being consumed with this garbage, this fake sugar, these sodas, all the fruits you can get, even though they may be GMOs, that's real sugar when you eating an orange or a grape or an apple. That's real sugar. But when you got to go get chocolate, if you do get chocolate, get real chocolate. But the Lord made our body heal itself, man. We don't need nothing for that. Especially when you doing what you're supposed to be doing, when you eating how you're supposed to be eating. But anyway,
By this approach is a lengthy list: cancer, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease.
The brain.
and the Lord got herbs that heal all that, man. There's herbs that can heal all that. But the video I did a little while ago, John D. Rockefeller, who took over medicine industry, the oil mogul, banned all natural herb uses, man. And the doctors that used them, they took their license, man, and banned them.
Child of Dr. Kevin Tracy, a neurosurgeon with the Feinstein Institute for Medical Research on Long Island, which has launched a new field in healthcare known as bioelectronics.
The promise of bioelectronic medicine is to restore the activity of nerves whose function, for whatever reason, disease or aging, are now not functioning properly.
Tracy,
see, hold on, Revelations 13 and 14. And deceive them that dwell on earth by the means of those miracles. By what means of miracles? These right here. Let's go back and show it. Right here. By healing cancer, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, right? Dementia, Parkinson's. I did a video on it when they put a chip in this one guy that he was a paraplegic, man. These are means of miracles. Hold on. Hold on, man. Psalms 103 and 2. It reads, Bless Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Who what? Who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases. We don't need the so-called white man, nor his damn validation for nothing, man. We don't need these devils for nothing, man. Let me read this again in Revelation. Revelations 13 and 14. And deceive them that dwell on earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which is the system, which had the wound by his sword and did live, man. These are means of miracles, man. Don't be no fool, man. This devil is using witchcraft, man. What he's doing? He's using medicine. It's going from medicine to their tech, man. That's why I say they hikes have reached to the heavens, man. His technology, man.
the division is the brainchild of Dr. Kevin Tracy, a neurosurgeon with the Feinstein Institute for Medical Research on Long Island, which has launched a new field in healthcare known as bioelectronics.
The promise of bioelectronic medicine.
Beautiful. Gotta read it. Beautiful. This is Kazak Bunya Howder, Wisdom of Solomon, 16 and 12. For it was neither herb nor modified plaster that restored them to health, but what? Thy word, O Yahweh Shema Shah, which healeth all things. Come on, man. Beautiful, the water. Yes, sir. Let's go.
Is to restore the activity of nerves whose function, for whatever reason, disease or aging, are now not functioning properly.
Tracy says the technology is extremely precise and there are no side effects. He compares it to how a pacemaker controls the nerves in the heart, except these new devices will control the nerves in the immune system.
See, these are means of those miracles, man. That's deceiving the world. Job 13 and 4 reads, but ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value, man. Come on. Man, these devils. Hey, but the Lord got them set up to deceive 2/3, man.
Potentially nerves to cancer, tumors to cancer cells, nerves to the bowel and bladder.
Clinical trials for multiple tests are currently underway, and positive results have already been reported in treating conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, even appetite control.
I figured, what did I have to lose?
Virginia Vallis is one of the first to test a bioelectronic device for weight loss.
Beautiful.
Since starting the trial,
One of my favorite precepts. The brother put up verse 25. Let me read that. Proverbs 26 and 24. It reads, it reads, he that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation, man. This devil wickedness is being showed, man.
4 years ago, she has lost nearly 100 pounds.
You get this feeling of fullness. It's like you
These
just
are
ate a
means of
nice big
miracles. They're
meal.
going to see the world
Embracing
with.
the future, drug makers like GlaxoSmithKline are looking ahead and funding research in this next frontier.
Every single disease that we have looked at, we found that we could potentially make medicines with bioelectronic intervention.
Bioelectronic devices are controlled by a smartphone or tablet and then programmed and monitored by the patient's doctor.
You see? So let me close with this. Isaiah 36:6 reads, Lo, it say, Lo, thou trusted in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. Let me get this in Isaiah 30. The brother had put on the comment board earlier. Isaiah 30:1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with their covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh. Yet he also is wise, and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers, and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, which is Yahweh, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they all shall fail together, man. Jake don't know what's coming, man, but the hopeful elect do. Lord, what's edifying? Got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rekah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, ready to accept it or not. And a sincere salutation to all the occupant pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four ends of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akbar who are listening and learning. You few sisters who are listening and learning, Lord, was edifying. Tonight, tell them I say shalom. Wa Abba Ball to for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema Shah continue to bless you in your houses. Stay prayed up. Lord willing, I got another lesson coming in about another 30 minutes or so. Lord willing. Shalom. Hey, the water for all y'all can precepts. The water for tuning in. The water for them precepts. Fire precepts. The water.